Hey you're watching a clip from the DynamiteGizmo podcast. This is not the full episode, but if you want to see the full episode, make sure to click the link in the description. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Do it now. Here's the clip. But now it's time to slow things down a little more and get a little serious. Because while the lightning round is about instinct and first reactions, this next segment is about committing to the takes and putting them on record. Every year, I make official predictions for the upcoming UFC season. And once you say them out loud, there's no taking them back. So before we look ahead to 2026, we're going to take a quick look in the rearview mirror and see how I did with last year's predictions. What hit, what missed, and what completely surprised me. And then we're going all in. Champions, dark horses, future stars, division changes, and bold calls that we'll be revisiting right here this time next year. So these are my official UFC 2026 predictions. But first, like I said, we got to go over last year's predictions and see how accurate I was. So, we're going to do all 12 UFC, not all 12, because I didn't do the female divisions last year. If you saw the video, I claimed I wasn't familiar enough with the female division, so I only did the male divisions. Okay? So, with flyweight, last year, I predicted in 2025, Pantoja would not only have the belt, but keep the belt the entire year. And I was very close to having that prediction come true if it wasn't for the fight that we just saw a few weekends ago. So that one I got wrong. For bantamweight, I had said Umar Nurmagomedov was going to beat Merab at the very beginning of the year. Because if you remember, on UFC 311, Merab fought Umar. And I thought that was going to be the end of Merab's reign. I had no idea he was going to go on to continue the excellence that he did and break records. 4 title defenses in 1 year, beat GSPs, takedowns, and all that stuff. I did not see that coming. I thought Umar was going to smoke Merab. And I was wrong about that one. Now, featherweight. This was my dark horse, out of the bucket, random pull that I did not see coming. I said Diego Lopez was going to take the featherweight title. Now, at that time, it was not even announced that Diego was going to fight Volk. At that time, Ilia Topuria was still the featherweight champion. And Islam was still the lightweight champion. There was no talks of either of them vacating and both moving up. So I had just thrown it out in the dark. I said Diego Lopez is probably going to get the featherweight title. Well, not probably. He's going to get a shot at the title. And it just so happens that he did get the shot, but he didn't get the title. Okay? But he is fighting again at the beginning of this year here, so maybe he'll get it this year. I don't know. And then at lightweight, I said Islam was going to keep and remain that title. But again, I didn't know he was going to vacate and move up. Welterweight, I had predicted Shavkat was going to be the welterweight champion. Because at that time, he had just beat Ian Gary, and he was going to fight Bilal, but he was originally going to fight Bilal for the title. But then Bilal got injured and couldn't fight, and then Shavkat got injured, and then there was the whole thing, and then Shavkat didn't fight at all in 2025. But we might see Shavkat take the title in 2026, but I don't know. He's going up against Islam, so that's a tough call. Middleweight, I had said Khamzat was going to take the title, and I was right. Khamzat did get the title. Okay? Light heavyweight, I said Alex was going to remain light heavyweight champ. I didn't know he was going to lose it, but he got it back, so I was right on that one. And then heavyweight, I predicted Tom Aspinall. And although he has the title, it didn't go at all the way I expected. I thought he would fight to claim the undisputed title, but it was just given to him because John Jones retired, and then his one title defense didn't even go past round 1 because of the severe eye poke. So, although he is the heavyweight champ, I didn't see it going that way at all. So I was right technically on 3. But I feel like my other choices had a lot of potential and were very good. Now we're going to move on to my 2026. These are my official 2026 UFC champion predictions, okay? So for flyweight, all right? I don't think Joshua Van is going to keep that title, okay? Because we have 2 options here. I can't make one specific option. I don't care if you don't agree with that, but we have to look at it realistically. If Alexander Pantoja can come back to fight for the title, I think he will beat Joshua Van. If he cannot come back, Joshua Van is going to fight Manel Kape. And I hate to say it, but I think Manel Kape is going to take the title from Joshua Van. And I think he's going to do it before Alex Pantoja comes back. So I'm predicting Manel Kape is going to be the flyweight champion some point in 2026. Bantamweight. Now, last year I predicted Umar was going to beat Merab and take the title. I think, again, this year, I think if anybody is going to beat Petr Yan, it's going to be Umar Nurmagomedov. Maybe. I don't know, dude. I'm second guessing myself now. But I think if Umar beats Figgy, because that's the next fight that's happening, he may be the only guy who can take out Petr Yan. But I could see Petr Yan winning against Umar. Fuck, dude. Do I just want to say Petr Yan will keep the title this year? No. Umar Nurmagomedov is going to have the bantamweight title. Featherweight. Okay? We've got Volk going up against Diego for the second time. I don't think Diego is going to beat Volk. But I think when Movsar fights Volk, or Diego, whoever has the title, I think Movsar will be the featherweight champion if he ever comes back. So I'm predicting Movsar. Lightweight, I think Paddy is going to take the interim when he fights Justin Gaethje. And I think if Ilya comes back, Ilya is going to beat Paddy. But if for whatever reason Ilya, with all the shit that he's going through right now, doesn't come back, then Paddy's going to be the undisputed lightweight champion. But if Ilya can come back, then he'll take it from Paddy. Welterweight, again, Islam. You know, unless Islam vacates or has to vacate for some reason, I can't imagine anybody beating Islam. I just can't. He's too good. Middleweight, now here's the thing. I think, again, Khamzat's going to hold on to that title. He's just too good at suffocating people. But if Khamzat fights Imavov, wins, and then vacates and moves up to light heavyweight, I think the winner of Strickland versus Hernandez will fight Brendan Allen for the vacated title. And there is a chance that one of those 3 guys could get it. It's tough. Because between Strickland and Hernandez, I could see Hernandez winning, but I could also see Strickland winning. So I have to make a prediction here. So I'm saying if Khamzat stays, Khamzat will continue to remain the middleweight champion. If he vacates, oh boy, I think I could see Brendan Allen be the middleweight champion. I seriously can. I think Hernandez is good, but I think he's too unreliable, and he cancels fights more than anybody in any roster. But I also don't know if he can beat Strickland. And then if Strickland goes up against Brendan Allen, I think Brendan Allen could win. And I seriously think Brendan Allen has a chance to be the middleweight champion. So I'm going to say Brendan Allen if Khamzat vacates. Light heavyweight, I think for sure Alex Pereira is going to vacate and move up to heavyweight, which means Yuri's going to fight whoever, whether it's Olberg or I don't know who. And Yuri's going to return as the light heavyweight champion, and he will remain the light heavyweight champion. And then, unfortunately for heavyweight, I think Tom Aspinall is going to be out too long, and they're going to strip him of his title. And then Alex Pereira is going to fight John Jones or whoever he needs to, Cyril Gane, and Alex Pereira is going to be the heavyweight champion. Those are my predictions for the men's divisions. Okay, and then the 3 women's divisions. We're doing pretty good. We're only an hour and 10 in. Okay, and I think next is the Gizzies. I think. Anyway, the women's strawweight. Currently, it's Mackenzie Dern. Zhang Weili is coming back down to strawweight, and she's going to fight Mackenzie Dern, and unfortunately, she's going to take the title from Dern. Dern's not going to stay champion. Zhang Weili is going to return as the strawweight champion. Women's flyweight. It's currently Valentina Shevchenko, and it's going to remain Valentina Shevchenko as long as she stays there. Women's bantamweight. We've got a crazy fight coming up right off the bat. First numbered event of the year, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. This was a tough choice for me. One of the toughest choices. Who do I think is going to win, Kayla Harrison or Amanda Nunes? Normally, I would pick Amanda Nunes because she's so good in so many different ways, but we won't get into that. But she retired and she came back. Kayla's right in her prime. She's fucking gigantic. She's a fucking monster. I'm gonna have to say Kayla Harrison's gonna remain the bantamweight champion. I don't think Amanda's gonna win. It'd be nice if she did, but I don't think she is. All right. Now we're gonna move into the dark horse picks for each division. If you don't know what dark horse means, it's basically people who are kind of flying under the radar, guys who are like absolutely could have the title, but they're not in the talks right now. But they're going to be there. Okay? So flyweight, we got Kyoji Horiguchi. Absolutely potential. Anything could happen. We could see him slip in there and get the title at any point. Okay? That's basically what these dark horse picks are. Bantamweight. He's lower in the rankings right now, but he's going to rise up this year. And he's probably going to fight for the title this year, and that is Vinicius Oliveira. This guy is unbelievable. Okay? Featherweight. A guy who should have fought for the title, but hasn't yet. But he's probably going to at some point this year. Actually, he better at some point this year, and that is Lerone Murphy. Okay? Lightweight. We've got Mauricio Ruffy or, and this is the better of the two options, Benoit Saint-Denis. I think Benoit Saint-Denis is a great dark horse pick. At some point, he should fight for the title this year. Welterweight, this is going to be a controversial one. But I think Joaquin Buckley is a great dark horse pick for welterweight. I know he had that loss to Kamaru Usman, but that's okay. Bring him back. Get him back up there in those rankings. Okay? He's still in the rankings, but let's rise him up. I think he's going to rise this year. I think 2026 will be Buckley's year. 2025 was not, but 2026 will be. Okay? Middleweight. RDR. Okay? He's our dark horse pick for middleweight. He's also going to rise back up. Okay? So what? He had one loss against Brendan Allen. But get him back in the mix. Okay? There was something off about him in that fight. I think he had potential to win that fight, but there was something about him. Light heavyweight, this is a super controversial one. And I really looked through light heavyweight, and I don't know why I picked who I did, but I did. And this is the only one that I probably disagree with myself, but I did it anyway. I threw Johnny Walker in light heavyweight. I don't know, dude. Maybe he'll make a comeback. He was, if you remember, when he first started his career in the UFC, people were all about Johnny Walker. He was funny and good. And there were even talks about, people were saying he might have been the only one who had potential to beat John Jones. That's what people were saying back when Johnny Walker first started. But then he had a few losses and then he fell off. But I could see him bringing it back. I could. And then heavyweight, Ante Delija. Huge potential. Huge potential, okay? We cannot base anything off that Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. That whole situation was fucked. Which, again, we're not talking about it because there's too much to say. Between him and Tom Aspinall, they both had the eye pokes and all the yada, 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 yada. Ante did win, but then he didn't win. Anyway, I think Ante is going to rise up in the heavyweight ranks. especially if Tom Aspinall vacates. He's going to have a shot against whoever. I don't know if he'll get the belt, but he's a great dark horse pick. All right, now who do I think loses the belt first? Okay, in the men's title holders, I think Volkanovski or Joshua Van will be the first to lose. Hate to say it, but one of those guys will. And in the women's, Mackenzie Dern. Easy enough. Who becomes double champ? All right, now I don't know about double champ, but I think Alex Pereira will become a 3-division champ because he's going to move up to heavyweight, and he's going to have claimed the middleweight, the light heavyweight, and the heavyweight title. And I think Khamzat potentially, if he is active enough and if he has enough time to move up to light heavyweight and get another title. Because, and I know I said Yuri is going to be the light heavyweight champ, but I think if Yuri goes up against Khamzat, Khamzat could beat Yuri. So I'm on the fence with Khamzat, but I think Alex for sure is going to become a 3-division champ. Who do I think moves divisions? Again, Alex and Khamzat. Those are the only two I have in mind. Now, who do I think retires in 2026? Well, I think if Davison Figueiredo loses against Umar, and I think even if he wins against Umar, there's a potential he will retire. Giga Chikadze, he might retire. Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Jim Miller. I think Jim Miller's been in it long enough. He's the second oldest by only a few months in the entire UFC, just under Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I could definitely see Jim Miller putting down the gloves this year. Stephen Wonderboy, he has specifically said he doesn't want to retire. He wants to go and go and go forever. He wants to break records. He said he wants to go till he's like 50 in the UFC, which is nuts. And I think Jim Miller kind of said something about that too, but I could see Jim Miller retiring this year. And then I also threw in there Israel Adesanya. I know he's still fairly young, like he's not too old. He's like 35 or 36, but I don't know, dude. I think I could see him coming to an end this year. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. It seems like the drive isn't there anymore. I don't know. He's the only one that I'm on the fence about. But the other guys I listed, we got Figgy, Chikadze, Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Jim Miller. I could see all those guys retiring this year, or at least some of them, or one out of the ones that I picked here. Now, who do I think becomes the next superstar? Now, Maple had predicted that Paddy is going to lose all of his superstardom. I actually think he'll gain much more because I think he'll win the interim title, and I think he's not going to fight Ilya because Ilya probably won't be able to come back, and I think he'll just become the undisputed, and then he'll have that huge, huge star power, which is what the UFC wants. I think that's potential. And then I also threw Carlos Prates in there. I think Carlos is a great character. A lot of potential to be a star as long as he keeps winning. But he ain't going to win the belt. Which I guess is a huge factor. But then I also threw Alex Pereira in there, especially if he takes that third title, especially if he fights on the White House card. He said himself that he is not fighting on the White House, but I don't know. Having those 3 titles really escalates your star power. So those were my predictions. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at the final segment.
Tap here to watch the full episode of the Dynamite Gizmo podcast.